for the renewed hope agenda of the present administration in ensuring that housing is affordable and available. We would like to recognize the presence of the Chief of Defense Staff.
When it comes to the Chief of Defense Staff, our own father and brother, he's ably represented here by Rear Admiral O.A. Bankole. Rear Admiral is one of the biggest, he's a director in charge of civil and military relationship. And no wonder he's been asked to represent the CDS here. You're welcome, sir. For demote you people today, you say you know plan. Oga, Rear Admiral, this thing happened though. In 1979, Nigeria changed from military rule to civilian rule. 1999, 79 years. 79, the head of state was General Olusegun Obasanjo, and the chief detail then was General Abdulsalami Abubakar. 20 years later, 1999, Abubakar became the president and brought his Oga back in 1999. That's what we're enjoying today. I was invited to be the master of ceremonies because I had served Lagos State House of Assembly as a member, an Igbo man in Amuwo-Odofin local government. And when I got there, people gathered, so many people, because we're going into democracy, which we long for. Now, chief details, they were all bringing in their names. And I got a name. Yeah. We got a name, and the name said, all generals, all serving generals and retired generals, please go to the inner chamber and have your dinner while others were here. And I looked at myself. My neck had swollen like a serving general. My tummy swollen like a retired general. So I followed them. And when I got there, they said, who are you? But they didn't have any moral right to ask me to get out because they didn't know. They started introducing themselves because it was a home of generals. And when it reached my turn, after they had introduced themselves as General this, Rear Admiral this, I introduced myself as Lieutenant General Chimamkpam Anyamkpa, Salvation Army.
All right, Your Excellencies, please forgive my senior colleague. He's a storyteller. As a veteran broadcaster, you should expect more stories from that end. I'll just continue with the recognition of dignitaries here. I would like to warmly recognize the presence of the Honorable Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musawa, who is ably represented here by Hajia Hadiza Ali. You're welcome. Thank you. Please, a round of applause. There's a lot happening in the creative economy. We'll also like to recognize the representative of the Director General of NAFDAC, who is ably represented here by Mr. Augustine Oboli. He's the Director, Human Resource for NAFDAC. Thank you very much for being here. We have the privilege of, having the presence of the Honorable Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons, Tijani Aliyu Ahmed. You're welcome, sir. Also here?
Yes, we have a someday governor of Anambra State, a barrister, a chief, Dr. Obinna Ozo. One of us is here. You're welcome, sir, and you're welcome.
We'd like to warmly recognize the presence of the MD CEO, Trust Fund Pensions Limited, Mr. Uche Ihechere. You're welcome, sir. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you for being here. And we want to warmly recognize the humble, delectable, but academia, the Vice Chancellor, Nasarawa State University, Kefi, which is actually my alma mater, Professor Saadatu Hassan Liman. You're welcome, Hajia.
Talking of Nasarawa State University, the first Nigerian professor of capital market, Professor Owaleke, is also here. You're welcome, Prof.
And we want to warmly recognize the Chairman, Board of Editors, Verbatim magazine, Dr. Ibrahim Modibo. He's done a lot. Well done, sir. Please appreciate him. And we want to warmly recognize our royal fathers who have joined us. His Royal Highness, Pharmacist Dr. Luka Panya Baba Esukaru. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you, Your Highness, for being here. We want to also recognize His Royal Highness, Barrister J.S. Aninge, PhD, MFR, Odyong. He said if I don't get it right, I will be fined. In Yangpa Panda, Nasarawa State. I hope I got that, Your Highness. Thank you.
Yeah, we thank you very much for that wonderful one. We have the singular pleasure of introducing one of our own, former staff of Nigerian Television Authority, Dr. Ibrahim Tanko, who is incidentally the Commissioner for Information, Nasarawa State. You're welcome. We have Tobes is not here, but it's our pleasure to have the editor-in-chief of Verbatim magazine. He's been running around in absentia, even though he's very much around. Tobes Abuebu is here. Dr. Tobes Abuebu, he will come in. Thank you.
Please, let's appreciate Dr. Tobes Abuebu because, getting to put the work of journalism in check. It's not a day's job, and 13 years he's been doing that job, sending information to the public, and it's, quite fascinating that it has to do with investigative journalism, which is one daring aspect in journalism. And at this juncture, Your Excellencies, permit me to please welcome for the opening remarks, Mr. Tobes Abuebu, the editor-in-chief, Verbatim magazine, for his welcome address. Please, a round of applause for him.
Tobes is a veteran journalist. I keep saying it. If you write sensations and you're sensational in your writings and you've not gone to prison one day, you must be a politician. And I tell you sincerely, Tobes has never gone to any police station, neither gone to any prison for over 40 years in journalism. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tobes Abuebu.
Your Excellency, the Governor, Amiable Governor of Nasarawa State, our number one special guest at today's occasion. I salute you, sir. I'm still learning how to get it right with protocols. So I want to join others who, when they mention somebody once, they say, all protocols observed. And besides, I've been told that His Excellency has a lot of programs today. So permit me, sir, to take it up from that angle. Otherwise, I am supposed to have recognized the presence of the Honorable Minister who is here today and the representative of the Chief of Defense Staff and the representative of the Governor of Edo State who recently won it big at the tribunal. We expected that he should have been here today to join us in celebration. And indeed, I won't fail to recognize my dear colleague, Ibrahim Modibo, the only one that is standing tall among all veterans here today. Sir, I won't waste your time so much. It's an evening we want to share with everybody. And so, on behalf of the entire team of Verbatim News Magazine, I am honored to welcome you to our 13th anniversary celebration and leadership lecture. Today, we gather to commemorate a significant milestone in our journey as a leading voice in Nigerian journalism. I say that what many people do not know is that we've come of age, not just by saying you are a member. We've practiced among the best hands who exist in this country. We were products of the former News Watch, under Delegiwa, Rebu, Yakubu, and Dan Abesi. They are still existing, but when you mention them, Nigerians know Nigeria actually has produced best people in the profession. 13 years ago, we embarked on a mission to provide insightful commentary, in-depth analysis, and thought-provoking stories that shape the narrative of our great nation. Today, we stand proud of our achievements because we have also produced a lot of people who are proud of us. And so, we stand proud of our achievements, grateful for the trust of our readers, and committed to continuing a pursuit of journalistic excellence. Our leadership lecture series, this is one of them, the 13th now, brings together esteemed thought leaders, policymakers, and industry experts to share their perspectives on pressing issues shaping our nation's future. We are confident that the discussions and insights shared tonight, when I say tonight, I'm also talking about the great insights which His Excellency is going to provide for us when he delivers his special lecture, So we'll inspire, educate, and challenge us to rethink our approaches to nation building. I extend my deepest gratitude to our sponsors, partners, and supporters who have made the celebration possible. Of course, the media today requires a lot of support. Otherwise, many of the agencies have gone underground as a result of online journalism. And some of them are things you cannot verify, fake news here and there. We do not believe in that, and that is why we insist on investigated and investigative stories. I salute our dedication, expertise, and passion for storytelling, and to our readers, I thank you for your loyalty and engagement. As we celebrate 13 years of Verbatim News Magazine, we are excited about the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead. We remain committed to our mission of providing high-quality journalism that informs, educates, and inspires our audience. Today, through the support we have received, especially His Excellency the Governor of Nasarawa State, who graciously accepted to make it possible for us to air this program live today. Please, we should appreciate him. His Excellency is not alone in those who have given us support. I thought the chairman of today's occasion would have been there when I started, but I thank God he has been here too. Your Excellency, we should also thank him for us. He has been very useful and very supportive of what we are doing. And I must say, he deserves a commendation also, sir. I want to thank everybody. I won't go into long journey. Otherwise, I would have told you those whom we want to appreciate especially today by way of Verbatim Awards. We have about 20, and among them 4 governors. Incidentally, one of them called me 2 days ago, that's the governor of Katsina, that he's bereaved and he wants to stay indoors, in quotes, for about 40 days to mourn the mother before he accepts outside engagements. May the soul of the mother of His Excellency rest in peace in the mighty name of God. So, gentlemen, Excellency, I will want to stop it at this juncture so that we continue, and rather wait till we hear the lengthy things you want to tell us in this program. Thank you so much.
Once again, let's appreciate the Editor-in-Chief, Mr. Tobbs Agbegbu. Please put your hands together for him. He's doing a great job, and we must commend his efforts. And while he was giving his opening remarks, the chairman of today's event walked in, the person of the registrar and CEO of the National Examination Council, that is NECO, Professor Ibrahim Dantani Wushishi. A round of applause for him, please. You're welcome, sir. Your Excellency, with your kind permission, we just want to recognize a few persons. The chairman, National Population Commission, who is here represented by the Federal Commissioner representing Benue and Nasarawa State, Barrister Patricia Kupchi Inyanya. That was an omission earlier. You're welcome, ma'am. And we'll just go straight to welcoming the chairman to come forward for his remarks, to come and tell us how far he's done in supporting Verbatim magazine and ensuring that they continue to thrive. Please put your hands together for Professor Ibrahim Dantani Wushishi.
Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I want to first start by tendering my apology for coming behind schedule. I hope the dignitaries here and the organizers of the occasion will accept my apology. Thank you. And also, I want to maintain the already established protocol. Your Excellency, the Governor of Nasarawa State, invited guests here, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. We are here today witnessing the 13th anniversary and award of one of Nigeria's most vibrant news magazine, the Verbatim. And I would not be mistaken to say the only professional magazine in the field of investigative journalism. Verbatim have come a long way. We have been in partnership for quite some time, and what attracted us to Verbatim was the nature and manner they do carry out their journalistic activities. We in the National Examinations Council, as a government agency, we are one of the largest agencies under the Federal Ministry of Education. And our activities in examinations requires that Nigerians be aware of what we are doing within and outside the headquarters of the National Examinations Council. And one of the most vibrant magazines that is covering our activities is the Verbatim magazine. We thank you so much for that feat. And I also want to let everybody know that Verbatim magazine, as a very leading magazine in Nigeria, requires that we support it by patronizing it. We support it by ensuring that we place our adverts and other activities we want Nigerians to be aware of so that the magazine will continue to strive and also leave a very important legacy for our dear country, because it is going to become one of the area that Nigerians will lay their hands in understanding the history of personalities in Nigeria, enterprises in Nigeria, agencies and government activities in Nigeria. Younger generations will find past editions of these magazines very instrumental for their understanding of the dynamics of the politics and education of our dear country. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the management of this all-important magazine for organizing these awards and for painstakingly choosing these awardees on the basis of merit. And I won't end this little talk without acknowledging a senior professional colleague where I also had passion, but after some time jetted out to become an academician. That is the Nigerian Navy. I have seen my colleague, a very senior officer, I think a Commodore or Rear Admiral, because I have forgotten the ranking of the Nigerian Navy now, because I have left the Nigerian Navy almost 26 years ago as a warrant officer. You are welcome, sir. So I am so delighted to see my officer in this very occasion. Thank you, and God bless.
Please, let's appreciate the chairman of the occasion again, Professor Ibrahim Dantani Wushishi. Thank you very much for the support you continue to give Verbatim magazine. Your Excellencies, no media outfit can stand tall or provide the necessary excellent service without the right investment, and that has to do with funding. So let's give that support, or rather let's continue to give that support to Verbatim magazine. I would like to please recognize the chairman, Local Content Committee, Senator Joel Onowakpo Thomas. He's here represented by architect Ambi Okuho. He's a fellow of the NIA. You're welcome, sir. Thank you. And I would quickly like to recognize the Deputy Chairman, House Committee, Southeast Development Commission, and also member representing Enugu East, Isi Uzo, Federal Constituency, Honorable Professor Paul Sunday Inamchi. He's here represented by Mr. Titus Agbo. You're welcome, sir. All right, Your Excellencies, of course, we know the man for the moment today, His Excellency, the Governor of Nasarawa State. And I won't be the one to talk about his achievements or his records, what he's doing for the people of Nasarawa State in the area of health, education, agriculture, you name it. Let the pictures do the talking. So we'll call for a short video and a brief introduction of our guest speaker. So media, if you're ready, let's have that. Is it ready?
Is a leadership where you will get the people to believe in what they are doing, to know what they are doing, without any strict supervision. Then you will get the best performance out of people. So that is the reason why I will tell you I believe very strongly in democracy, because democracy gives the people the freedom, to operate within their own space. And we usually get the best out of people for that. Really is not a politician. I don't see didn't want to say technocrat because there are so many people who call themselves technocrats that have never managed anything. Sule is just a fine human being that worked in the private sector and finally found himself in politics. So he carried honesty, he carried loyalty, he carried transparency, and he carried hard work. He carried his heart and soul into politics. Honestly, I money over that, but I never thought he would. He's a very good man. He's very caring. He has respect for his doubts that he is one. And he's taken the interest of the various and diverse communities for interest to the state in all that he is doing. Many reasons why he's a role model. There's a good example of don't forget home. When he was appointed, he was very good. He was the former president of Dignitary Association, which is really for Nigerians from northern heritage in the diaspora. One of the best war associations, even to this day, abroad. So he was a part of the diaspora community. He gave leadership, he mentored a lot of people. And then he started to come back home. He didn't have to, but he did many years back. And he worked in the private sector before he became governor of Nigeria. Now, governor of Nigeria was from London. That was how I was going on in the state. So for us, that example of what you can achieve if you contribute back to your local country. History is very important. And when you look at the Speaker Award, it's about the man who was from the China. Not just in Nigeria, in Africa, and to nominate somebody for the Sixth Prize. It's not like the prizes for the awards you pay for. And it's particularly published out in the newspaper and all that. So if you want to do that, you can. But it is meant to symbolize seriousness, commitment, detribalization in terms of our own policy. And these are the things that also engineers who we have to bring to the table for national state. In his personal life, is most committed. Totally detribalized, associated with everybody, who needs to know where he's from.
I don't know much about politics, but whatever he is doing now in Abuja is engineering. He goes around the state and listens to the people. What he does, he listens, decides what the people agree with the people what they want to achieve, so and he defines the engineering mechanism that we know best. How to achieve what the people want.
And he also improves in making sure that I manage the resources of the people effectively. In fact, I manage my own resources effectively and efficiently. And that is exactly what I try to apply. You know, the same way I will manage my own personal resources is the way that I want to manage public resources. Because I believe public resources is also trust given to you.
Engineer is an uncommon pattern because he holds public office as trust for which he will be held accountable to God Almighty. And the candid opinion of such a person as Engineer deserves to be recapitulated and integrated into the civic education of our people as a way to inculcate patriotism in politicians and upcoming political office holders.
One thing that I know in my mind that I believe is about my total commitment to the people and to the state. I'm totally committed
Splendid. Same thing His Excellency said to us, that this life is transient. That when I came into the office and saw the photographs of my predecessors, and they're no longer here, I know one day my own photograph will be there and I am gone. But what matters, what will I be able to leave behind as a legacy? No wonder he's hardworking. No wonder he's honest. No wonder he values integrity and he's humane. I have the singular honor of inviting the Director General Strategic Communication to Nasarawa State Governor, Dr. Yakub Lamai, to present us with his boss.
Your Excellency, distinguished guest, Honorable Minister, I'd like to tell you a bit about His Excellency, which is usually the norm. You read his citation. His Excellency studied mechanical technology in Indiana State University, Terre Haute. And he also obtained an MSc in industrial technology. He's always been a person who has a very practical orientation from his tutelage. When he was in Government Technical College in Bukuru, that's in Jos, to the Polytechnic and to the United States of America. Incidentally, as you know, God Almighty would have it, today is April, and April the 2nd, exactly 24 years ago, the Board of Directors of African Petroleum actually chose His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Esule to become the Managing Director of African Petroleum, CEO then, exactly 24 years ago today. And today he's delivering a lecture on the challenges of leadership. He has been chosen by Verbatim magazine, and the topic they gave His Excellency is Changing Times and the Challenges of Leadership, Candid Views of an Uncommon Patriot. The description of Engineer Abdullahi Esule as an uncommon patriot was not by Nasarawa State, it was actually by the editorial board of Verbatim magazine. He has left no one in doubt. He came into office fully prepared with what he called the Nasarawa Economic Development Strategy, and in the last 5 years, he's been able to move Nasarawa State from the backwaters of a state that just used to be a state that was agrarian, that had potentials, that was unexplored, to now become amongst the top 3 most competitive states in this country. So it's my singular honor and privilege to present to you my principal, my boss, someone I implicitly believe in, His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Esule, who would definitely do justice to the topic, changing times, and the challenges of leadership in Nigeria. His own personal views, candid, bold, unbridled, and honest in his own typical way. Your Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Esule.
The chairman of this occasion and the registrar of NECO, Professor Dantani Ibrahim Wushishi, the warrant officer who ran away from the Navy, the Honorable Minister of Housing, my dear brother, Architect Ahmed Musa Dengiwa, our fathers who are here, Your Royal Highness the Sukaru and Odo Nyankwa, heads of federal agencies here, the Chairman, Board of Editors, Dr. Madibo Ibrahim, our Honorable Commissioners from Nasarawa State, Secretary to the State Government, the Vice Chancellor of the Nasarawa State University, Kefi, and your own members of the delegation who are here, our distinguished awardees, especially representatives of my dear brother, the Governor of Edo, who actually just won his tribunal case yesterday, and I know how it means, so I didn't expect him here, because when I won mine, there was no way I would have been here the following day. Distinguished invited guests, distinguished members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, let me show great appreciation to the Verbatim magazine for the invitation to this 13th annual lecture and awards anniversary ceremony. I am an engineer by profession. I'm purely a technical and practical person. I have never lectured, I have never taught. I was surprised when my name came up as the one who will deliver a lecture. But I have so much respect for this investigative magazine. I equate this magazine with the ones of the early days of General Ibrahim Babangida. During the era of Delegiwa, the era that we saw purely investigative architecture. And for the respect I have for this magazine, I say I will be here myself, and that's the reason why I'm here. You have given me a title and a topic called Changing Times and Challenges of Leadership in Nigeria. And you wanted a candid opinion or candid views of what you refer to as uncommon patriot. By the time I finish my story, I will know whether I qualified as a patriot or not. Let me thank you for identifying me as such. And I actually, just like my former chairman, Mr. Peter Okocha, who I met immediately I returned to Nigeria in the year 2000 as the chairman of Sadiq Petroleum and later chairman of African Petroleum. He referred to me as somebody who found himself accidentally in politics. So you can refer to me as an accidental politician if you so wish. And I decided to be in politics because of my desire, and burning desire for that matter, to contribute to the development of particularly Nasarawa State. By the time I give you a little bit of my background, you will understand that when Nasarawa State was created in the year 1996, I was indeed living in America, because I did go to school in America as it was there, and I worked for a very long time in America. And because of that, I wasn't here when the state was created. And I as well felt that part of emptiness, that I was not there to contribute in the struggle for the creation of Nasarawa State. But at least, let me see what can I do to contribute to the creation or the development of Nasarawa State. And that is the reason why I work very hard to be in politics. And thank God that I'm there now. Let me also checkmate the topic that I am to speak on. It clearly stated changing times. It also talked about challenges of leadership. The famous Chinua Achebe in 1983 came up with this book, The Trouble with Nigeria. And in that book, he just summarized what I'm going to speak on in this topic, and I quote, "The principal drawback that Nigeria faces is the failure of leadership as at 1983 after the Shagari administration." Because if you remember, Shagari administration was 1979 to 1983. And coincidentally, he wrote this book in 1983, and as at the time, he was thinking that Nigeria had problems. And he thought Nigerian leadership was the problem. I wonder what topic Chinua Achebe will give to his book today, 42 years later, if he is to be alive. Because as at 1980, when I was leaving to go to America on scholarship, I came from a very small village called Goody Station. I had never been to Lagos at the time. And then my father gave me 2,000 naira. That's what I was going to use to take to America before scholarship money started arriving. And on arrival in Kano, at the Kano airport, as a JJC, I exchanged that 2,000 naira at an exchange rate of 80 kobo to a naira, to the dollar. And the moment I finished exchanging the 80 kobo to the dollar, some people came and asked me, what rate did they give you? I say 80 kobo, a dollar. So how much did you get for your 2,000 naira? I say, just a little over $2,000. He said, they cheated you, let's go back there. You're supposed to give it to you at 76 kobo. The 80 kobo was a cheat. Needless to say, the little over 2,000 that I took to America, I used $600 as one of the richest students to buy my first vehicle, which was a Chrysler Cordoba, for $600. And then the remaining 1,600 or so that I had was the money I used and took care of myself until the first $7,000 of the scholarship money for the whole year arrived. That's how good Nigeria was. It's about the time that Chinua Achebe actually wrote this book, The Trouble with Nigeria, and he associated the entire trouble with Nigeria on leadership. And that's the reason why I'm telling you that if he's there today, I don't know what he will write. He was comparing the post-independence Nigeria of the Zik of Africa, Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa, Chief Obafomi Awolowo, Sir Ahmadu Bello the Sardauna of Sokoto, Malam Aminu Kano, etc., etc., to the Second Republic that was just about to end at that time, which ended actually in December 1983. He was looking at the leadership of the post-independence of those people I have mentioned, which was more or less looking at modesty, honesty, integrity, character, and patriotism. And he was comparing it to what they experienced in the year 1983. And so Chinua Achebe, after examining the political leadership of the Second Republic, concluded clearly that our leaders have failed to rise and become good examples for the citizens of Nigeria. And that's the reason why I say, let us now fast forward 42 years later, compare ourselves to 1983, and see if we have made progress or we have gone the other direction. Our leaders have failed according to Chinua Achebe, leading to massive corruption, ethnicity, and today, 42 years later, we have added insecurity, election malpractices, religious differences, banditry, etc., etc. And if you look at the aspect of corruption, it is no longer the corruption of 1983 that Chinua Achebe has called massive. We are now actually supersonic corruption. And that's why I feel, and I wonder, the title he will give to a book if he is to write that book today. During the Second Republic, precisely in 1980, I have told you the exchange rate, the oil production. By the time I finish telling you a little bit about me, my entire background is more on oil and gas, both the upstream, midstream, and the downstream sector. And so I had the opportunity, while working for an oil and gas company in the US, as purely a production staff, production engineer, to be able to go to several countries. And one of such countries that we went looking for oil was actually Angola. At the time we were in Angola, Angola was not producing 1 million barrels of oil. Angola was full of landmines. And Amoco, our big employer, wanted to enter Angola. And when we were sent to Angola, nobody was interested. The IOCs were not interested. The smaller companies were not interested, mainly because Angola was just coming out of war. And landmines were planted nearly everywhere. Let me fast forward. Nigeria at the time was producing 2.2 to 2.5 million barrels of oil. We were the kings of Africa. Today, Angola is producing 2.1 million barrels of oil. Angola is one of the most attractive places you need to go to. Nigeria, on the other hand, is producing just a little over 1.4 million barrels of oil. We have gone the other direction. And the crisis that we didn't have, today we have some of them in the Niger Delta, and you have to summarize it. Where did the leadership play a role in these areas? I know you invited me, so I can tell you as it is. Even if I'm the one doing the wrong thing, I should tell you I am doing the wrong thing. And I should not be afraid to say so, because when we do understand where we are coming from or where we are, then it will help guide us to know where we should go to. So why did Chinua Achebe say all this in 1983? Let us go back and be sincere looking at leadership. Leadership actually is an action. It's a verb. It's an action of providing headship and guidance. Leadership is about problem solving. A leader must be able to solve problems. It is about providing solutions. If you cannot provide solutions, you have no right being a leader. It is about providing benefits to the led without necessarily destroying or encroaching negatively into the future developments of those people or their opportunities. Most successful leaders never seek for leadership, did not seek for it. Leadership fell actually on those kind of people without them even knowing that leadership was falling on them. Because they provided solutions to their people, they solved the problems of affecting the peace of the people and their communities. They developed a path for the future of their own people and the progress of those people. Perhaps they did not even know they were doing that at the time they were being categorized as leaders. Perhaps they did not even seek to be called leaders. Perhaps they did not even beg for any title whatsoever in leadership. True leaders do not actually do any of the above. The leadership will fall on them without them asking for it. As promised, let me tell you a little bit about how I got here. The MC introduced me as a gentleman who was born in a village. It is now a town, by the way. Let me not call it village. In a town called Goody Station. It is a railway junction. If you are living here in Abuja, on your way going down to Makurdi or Lafia or Jos or anywhere from here, it's the only place that has a railway crossing. And it became extremely popular when the railway was the main source of transportation in the country. And so a lot of people, all the way from Silesia, from Kotonkarife, coming back, going to either school in Kano, in Zaria, in Port Harcourt, in Lagos also, had to come to Goody Station so that they could join the train to take them to such places. That's why it became extremely popular. So that's where I was born. However, I was born actually with all sense of humility into the royal family of that village. My great-grandfather was the first traditional ruler there, then my grandfather, and now my father, who is a traditional ruler, still alive and has been there as traditional ruler for the past 52 years. A little bit longer than the Odo Nyankwa. That's how he has been, and he's been there. And because of that, the reason why I'm telling you is to tell you what prepared me to be here. So I grew up in a village where he was a problem solver, where at the palace, after school hours, the only thing we learned to sit down and do was to listen to how our dad was resolving marital issues, resolving community issues, creating opportunities for other people, looking for opportunities of employment for other people, and all those kind of issues. Those are the kinds of things we learned while we were living with our father at the palace. And one thing I got to learn from him was his patience and his ability, actually, sometimes when a matter became so laughable, for him to be able to control himself, calm. Everybody will be smiling and crying and laughing, and then he will be calm and watching and watching. And I was watching him throughout this period. I started my education from a Catholic school because that's the only school we had in that village. So studying the Bible became compulsory for me. At the time, we had to study the Old Testament. So from Genesis, all the way now into the New Testament, of the 4 books of the New Testament, the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, was also compulsory for us, to study. So that's the primary school education. While now in the evening, it was compulsory now for me to go to the Quranic school because it was for our parents to make sure we get the 2 aspects of religion seriously. And so God helped me to become well-versed and well-learned, not only about the Quran, but also about the Bible, especially the Old Testament and the 4 books of the New Testament. For my secondary education, I now went to Zhang Secondary Commercial School in Jos. At the time, there was no Nasarawa State. In fact, there was no Benue. We were Benue Plateau State. So we had to go to Jos in order to be part of it. So I went to Jos. While I was in the commercial school, something actually happened that got me so excited about becoming an engineer. We had a bridge between Gudi and Akwanga, our local government headquarters, through the O Road. And the bridge actually collapsed. So when the bridge collapsed, and it was the only road at the time, going all the way to Jos. So vehicles actually, especially the trailers, line up all the way into our village. For about 4 or 5 days, nobody could pass. Same thing on the other side. Nobody could come this way, nobody also could be able to go that way. And so for us, it was just about 3 kilometers, so we would just go by the bridge and watch all the action of the noise and everything that was going on. And then a white man came with his short knicker. And they said, that's going to be the solution provider. He will be the one to create a solution so that vehicles actually could pass. And we sat down there looking at him. And he worked within the next 24 hours. He arranged all the planks, all the metals, all the beams, and everything, and the vehicle started passing. So I say, what is him? And they say he's an engineer. So I say, by the grace of God, I want to be an engineer. That's how the dream of engineering actually came to me. And so going back to my secondary school, we now learned that you could actually take examination from your 3rd class, Form 3, in order to take examination into the Government Technical Training School, Bukur. And that's how I ended up at Butex. At Butex now, remember, the gentleman actually, I didn't even understand which aspect of engineering he was. All I knew was he was an engineer. And so all I wanted to be was an engineer. Which kind of engineer, I didn't even know. Civil, mechanical, technology, this I had no idea. All I wanted was just to be an engineer. And that's how it began. And then we had the opportunity now. We had 12 different shops at the Government Technical Training School. The good thing was what they call J classes. You take each one of these J classes throughout the period, which means you go to electrical installation shop, you spend 1 week, fitter machinist, 1 week, motor mechanics, 1 week, carpentry and joinery, 1 week, welding and fabrication, 1 week. So all of them, all the 12 shops, all the way to agri mechanization, and the rest of them. And at the time, the Government Technical Training School, Bukur, better than even some of the universities you can find in the US. They had all the machines that you needed. They had all the equipment. They had some of the best teachers that you can think of. Some of them, in fact, British, that built the school and brought the machines. That was the period we had. The reason why we are bringing some of this is for us to understand the topic I have, the changing times. What has changed? What is the reason for this change? How can we remedy it? And that is the whole idea about giving you also part of my background. So while there, I ended up in the welding craft practice. And another good thing was that by 1980, when we were graduating, it was a period where none of us from technical school had ever left the school to go out looking for a job. We had the job givers will visit us within the school to come and interview the students and now give jobs to the students. So they will come. At the time, Peugeot had just come to Nigeria, so Peugeot came in, interviewed us. After that, Kaduna Polytechnic came in and interviewed us. After that, so many nails companies, textiles, and the rest of that all came to and interviewed us. But because I had the intention of becoming an engineer, and you can't become an engineer from just technical school, you end up being a technician. You have to go and get a degree. So I had the intention of going to do that. So I decided that it was not good for me to leave Plateau, where I was seeking for scholarship and waiting for admission. And so many admissions came, but temporarily we went to the Polytechnic until admission into the university came. So while at the Polytechnic, that's when I ended up now gaining admission into the famous Indiana State University, Terre Haute, Indiana, in the US. And because my parents couldn't afford to send me to school, I told you my father gave me $2,000 when I was living. So, and that was a lot of money then that he could afford, because I even bought my Cordoba with that money. So it was a lot of money that he did, but that was nothing, when you talk about the money you needed for international education. So I needed scholarship. So in order for me to wait and get the scholarship, then I worked for Plateau Electricity Corporation, which was one of the companies that came to employ us. And that's how we ended there. So working there gave me the opportunity now to understand, also another practical aspect of the job. And then I went to Indiana State University now in 1980. Remember, that was the period of the Second Republic, MPN, MPP. Most of the northern states were MPN. The southeastern states were MPP, and the southwestern states were UPN. Plateau State, out of our trouble, we ended up with MPP. How we ended up with MPP, only God knows. But we ended up as a party that had Solomon Lar as the governor under MPP. This was later to haunt me, because while in school, all the scholarship allowances of the MPN states and the UPN states will actually come. But the one for the MPP states, for whatever reason, was very difficult to come. So because of that, we were not getting our allowances. So now that is trouble number one, of now applying your leadership skill and the opportunities at hand. So I used the opportunity that was there for me to go ahead and, while going to school, to look for a job, because the institution knew we were on scholarship and they knew the government will pay them their money Therefore, they were not worried about the money coming from the government for the fees. But in America, they will not allow you to stay in their hostel. They will not feed you. You have to go and find that. Now, since I understand the Bible, and I came from Indiana, Indiana is 99.9% Christians. And you can say maybe 96% Catholics at the time that we were there. Next to our school actually was a parish. So I now had to visit the parish. I say, I understand that you have some rooms. If a student could come in, you could stay in the parish and work for the parish and live free in the parish. He asked me, what's my name? I say, Audu Sule. Audu Sule, he say, which church do you go to? I say, sorry, sir, I'm a Muslim. Muslim? He say, yeah. You want to live in a parish? You are a Muslim? I say, yes, sir. He say, you're welcome. So what will you do? I say, well, I will clean the parish just like my colleagues were doing. I will do everything possible that is needed, and then I will live free in one of the rooms. So the Reverend Father was kind enough, so he said, go ahead. So Michael gave him a room. So that's how I ended up with a room, at the parish, close to the Reverend Father. I was entitled not only for a room, I was entitled to 1 meal a day, free. Then I shall go and look for my other 2 meals. That's your problem. Your breakfast and lunch, you are on your own. But dinner, you will have with the Reverend Father, along with some of my co-students, actually, who were all Christians. And then one day, he asked me to pray before we eat. Because Muslims just, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, you eat. But for Christian prayer, sometimes you have to go a little bit longer. And so he asked me to pray. But remember, I told you I studied the Bible very well. So he said, don't you know how to pray any prayer you say you went to Catholic school? I say, yes. Do you know any prayer? Just pray for us to eat. I say, our Father, who art in heaven, I love you, thy name. He says, Sule, hold on. Say, this is not a kind of prayer for food. That's too long of a prayer for us to eat. We just want a short prayer so we can eat. So that's how we ended up in that. All this story is just to tell you my preparations for where we are today. So on completion of my education, I returned to Nigeria in 1984, did my youth service, worked now in Just Rolling Company from 1985 to 1989. But going back to this period, I rose very quickly. But I rose through the ranks. I was brought in as engineer 2. I was promoted to senior engineer. And before I left in 1989, I became a principal engineer. So in 1989, this institution that I was working for called Alcoa, that I was working for them at night while going to school, insisted to give me a permanent job. And they kept calling me while I was in Nigeria. So I accepted the job. So 1989, needless to say, they gave me a green card, so I went back to the US, and went back to work. But instead of working for them, on arrival in the US, a friend told me that, with your knowledge of oil and gas, it's better we move to Houston, Texas, rather than Indiana. Because Indiana, no Nigerians. And by the way, I forgot to tell you one little story about Indiana. I'm not accusing them, but because of the racial nature of Indiana, there was a village next to us called West Terre Haute. We were in Terre Haute, West Terre Haute. No black person was welcome in West Terre Haute. In fact, it's almost like where the KKK used to meet. And it's only a matter of 5 minutes away. So my friend now referred me to that. He said, this is where KKK meets. It's not a good place for us to. Why don't us move to Texas? More Nigerians actually in Texas, more oil and gas operations in Texas. So that's how I ended up finding myself now in Texas. And we went through a lot of things. I worked for several companies while in Texas. Worked for an OEM component, which was purely a CNC machines company. That's where I learned how to do computer numerical control. And then I moved to Houston Engineers, where I had the opportunity also to build pressure control valves and flow valves. Then I had the bigger job, drill equip. That one is a company building subsea wellheads. In all these places that I went as quickly as possible, I was either an assistant chief engineer in the workshop or the mill, or I was actually the main supervisor or even the programmer. But to top it all, it's actually Osaika Corporation. That's what gave me everything. Osaika Corporation is an African-American owned, the fourth largest in the world, black-owned oil and gas company, E&P, exploration and production. And most of them were Amoco ex-staff in the US. So it's a company that gave me the opportunity to travel extensively, looking for oil in Bolivia, in Brazil, in Ukraine. Ukraine, I had the opportunity to go to the Poltava region, which is similar to the Niger Delta. So cold, but good. Oil everywhere. Had the opportunity now to go to Angola that I mentioned to you. The Angola that was having so many problems. The Luanda that you had to be guided along before you could go. And today, unfortunately, Angola is doing better. In fact, Angola has called off the bluff of OPEC and say, we do not want to be members of OPEC. We want to be our own. And Angola is doing very, very well in that area. Something that I pray one day Nigeria will do. But on coming I returned to Nigeria in the year 2000 on the invitation of some big men that I would not like to call their names for now. And when we returned, we formed a company called Sadiq Petroleum. And Peter Okocha, the gentleman who spoke about me earlier and called me not a politician and not a technocrat, I don't know what I will be. He doesn't call me any of them. So we formed a company called Sadiq Petroleum. Through that, we had the opportunity. I was the pioneer managing director of the company, and we participated in the privatization of the big man Nasir El-Rufai of the period. And we acquired 30% equity in AP, and I automatically became the managing director of African Petroleum PLC. That was the first challenge of leadership. I went into that company and we discovered that it was 26 billion naira negative balance sheet. The company's shareholding had been eroded, which means if you take the entire assets of the company and sell and pay debtors, you will still be owing 26 billion. That was the meaning of the negative balance sheet. That's how bad it was. It was debt-ridden. The only good news about the company at the time was that it was one of the 6 major petroleum product marketing companies. NMPC will give us their product, we will sell and pay them in 30 days. So we were living hand to mouth. And that's how it ended. I had to resign after moving AP from a negative balance sheet in 2001 when I became the MD to a positive balance sheet of 5 billion in 2006. So we did that along with friends, with colleagues, with people who understood what life was all about, without actually having any concern for any benefits for each other. When I finished from AP, actually I did not have a house of AP. We didn't sell the assets of AP. We didn't sell any of that assets that we had in AP. Instead, we were able to maneuver and run the company and return the company into positive balance sheet, by the business of being prudent and having the fear of God. And 2006, by the time I left, my intention was just to return to the US. That was the first time I was drafted into politics. And they asked me, come and be the AC governorship candidate. You will just hold the ticket until we are able to find the right person to give him. And I took that ticket, and I held it, and nobody took it away from me. And we went there until I ran for the governorship election in 2007. At the end of the election, they say I lost. I say I lost, yeah. What is next? They say, well, we are going to tribunal. I say, no, I'm not going to any tribunal. I'm going back to the US to go and continue with my work. And they did everything, the other politicians around me. I said, no, you people have eaten too much of my money already, and there will be no more money, because do we need money for this tribunal? They say, yes, money for lawyers, money for this. I said, then we are not going to tribunal, because I'm not going to any tribunal. So we didn't go to any tribunal. I left back to the US. But immediately I left, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, who was a non-executive director, invited me and say, I want you, I saw the way you manage AP, I want you to come and manage one of my companies. I said, which of the companies should I manage, sir? He gave me a list of 3 of them. I selected the Dangote Sugar Refinery because it's a refinery purely in the oil and gas sector. And that's how I ended up. And I work for that company from the year 2007 until the year 2018, when I was invited again to Nasarawa to come and contest. I was skeptical. Are we going to spend money in this thing? Are we going to spend any money in the exercise? And then some other people here say, yes, we will spend, but we will support you, so you don't have to go through that. Needless to say, we contested, we won. While working in AP, while working in Dangote Sugar Refinery, I forgot to say something that was the opposite of the other. You remember I told you in AP I was living hand to mouth. In Dangote I had too much excess liquidity. I had to find a way actually to be placing those liquidities to even generate revenue for us. So I ran from a place that had zero money to a place that had too much money. And then, so I had the experience of the two ends, of trying to save, because sometimes we will have excess of 40 billion, 50 billion, and then it's not money you need for the business in any way. So you have to place those monies in different places. And I say, why God didn't you send me here first rather than sending me to AP? But that's how it ended up. So when I was invited actually to come and contest for the governorship election in 2018, I invited my dear friends, Kulle Lebute from KPMG. I say, I'm now going to Nasarawa to contest for governor. But believe me, I need a lot of information about the state. I needed to know what are the prospects of that state. I needed to know what are the opportunities in that state. I needed to know where are the prospects and how do you go around them. What are the challenges in the state and that. So they came while I was still an MD in Lagos and conducted a study for 6 months without even the people of Nasarawa State knowing. And now they put together a report and a document to me. The reason why I mention that is because that is what had to guide me into now running the office of the governor. So with that, after the swearing in, we now had to look for what to do next. And then what to do next actually was defining the direction of leadership of the state. So we used the KPMG document to be able to come out with what we today call the Nasarawa Economic Development Strategy, looking at all the various prospects. So I think a leader must know where he's going. Because if you don't know where you are going, any road will take you there. And that's the reason why knowing the prospects, the opportunities, the challenges in Nasarawa State we now had to develop that Nasarawa economic development strategy. But then you just don't develop a strategy. You need a team to follow up and implement that strategy. And then you need some guidance. So in developing the team, we developed a company called NACIDA, which is an agency, that will drive investment into the state and the opportunities that were needed in that area. Because Nasarawa, with all sense of humility, is one of the richest states in Nigeria, but it was unexplored. Nasarawa had greatest opportunities in agriculture, opportunities in mining, Today, I host so many Chinese companies every day. Sorry, I have one here already. They even came with me. So I have them coming looking for either lithium, tantalite, barite. They take me to China. In fact, in China, they treat me more than a governor. Sometimes I don't want to come back, because those are the type of opportunities, that they take you to show you because of how much they believe, in your state and in what you do. So we developed the company and had NACIDA to drive it. But for us to ensure that we have someone checkmating us, we now came up with an advisory council called the Nasarawa Economic Advisory Council. And in doing that, I say, let us look at people who will look at us directly in the face and tell us whether what we are doing is wrong or right, without any fear. So majority of the people we brought were from outside Nasarawa State, being chaired by Professor Konya Jai, a very prominent lawyer from Ogun State, who I have known for his fearless nature, that he could look at the president directly in the face and tell the president what is right or wrong. So I say, sir, can you agree to be our chairman? He agreed. So that's how he became our chairman. And of course, many times he told us, no, you can't go this way, Mr. Governor. This is the way we should go. And really, we needed that as leaders in order for us to provide the true leadership that was there. We identified the areas of our focus, area of education, agriculture, mining, and health. But more importantly, we established the instruments needed to drive the opportunities in Nasarawa State. For that reason, we decided now to come up with the TSA to say that our accounts, for transparency, have to be under the TSA. We developed the BPP through a law. We came up with what we call Sovereign Wealth Fund. That is taking 5% of our internally generated revenue, from the state, so that we could keep that as some kind of comfort and safeguard, just in case anybody was coming to invest in the state, either during some kind of PPP arrangement or so, and then we will have some investment needed. So we decided that we must do that. And that's what we did in order also to protect certain investments. We came up with the various laws for protection of the various investments that we have in the state. And then we actually came up with summits. And that's what I'm going to close with. So I will talk more about the summit later, because we conducted 2 major summits, economic summit in the state in order to do that. And then we look at what are the traits of a leader, and a good leader for that matter. We had to look at that and work from that angle. So a good leader actually should clearly define objectives and focus, similar to what we did with the KPMG document. He must also be fair and provide some kind of inclusiveness, and ensure that you are not holding grudges, even against people who hate you, and distribute projects and appointments as much as possible evenly. And what we did in that area was to go to areas where we were not even voted and say that, yes, you didn't vote for us, but this is the project that we are doing for you. That way people will know they are being carried along, because once you are elected, you are no longer for those who elected you, you are for everybody, even those who did not elect you. And that is the direction that we go in order to ensure that we are there. You must have some kind of accountability, because it's a trust given to you, And in order for you to gain the trust of the people, you must be accountable. And that's why when we receive some resources that were unexpected, we actually gather the major stakeholders to share with them that this is what we have received and this is what we are thinking about doing. And we want your own opinion on that. And that makes us actually transparent, because a good leader must be transparent. And we add to that with our budget. Our budgets are people-oriented budgets. So like the budget we are going to have for next year, starting from somewhere around August, we'll go around and meet with the people to ensure that we hear from the people. What kind of projects are they expecting? What are they wanting, so that they are included in what we are doing? Because those are the directions that we take in order for us to be able to do with the consultations. Prudence and honesty, similar to the First Republic, similar to what Chinua Achebe has said, that is what has to be done, because you are managing public resource. So public resources must be managed with some level of honesty and prudence. And you must have the courage, actually, to punish even those around you. The day we have leaders in this country that will say, I am not going to steal, but I will not allow anyone around me to steal, you will see a sense of direction for this country. Because sometimes we relax the laws on those around us because they are so close to us. We are afraid to punish them. But any country that doesn't have punishment, that country actually will have problems. And I tell you a good example. I just came back from Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, not even the army, not even the police, just vigilante will tell leaders, sometimes governors, ministers also, hey, Alaj, stay here. And the people will stay right there. They will not move. Hey, Alaj, because they know in Saudi Arabia, the law actually works. If you make a mistake, one hand is gone. One mistake, they take you somewhere and you don't come back complete with all your organs. So for that reason, people are very, very careful, and they follow the rule carefully, and they make sure that they are not going to break the law. So until we have that in Nigeria, we will continue to have problems. And this has to do with whoever is around us. That's part of the courage. So we must have the contentment also. Because all the idea about gathering wealth, you gather a lot of wealth. At the end of the day, you don't even need it. So contentment is part of the solutions and part of the traits for leadership. We must accept constructive criticism. And I gave you a very good example. When I came in as a governor, there was a gentleman. They were having lots of problems with him as chairman of NLC. And in fact, they had a way of getting rid of him. In the oil and gas sector, we say if they don't like you, they send you to Siberia. So what they did, there is no Siberia in Nigeria, but they sent him to equivalent of Siberia, very far away from Nasarawa State. And we try to come and understand him. We try to come and work together. And I try to show him we're hiding nothing. So why are you giving us headache? Why problems? What do you want to know? He wants to know how much money is coming to us. He wants to know how much we are spending the money. I say, come, here, take it. This is what you want, this is what. At the end of the day, this was the same person that has gone around campaigning for my second tenure to come in. By the time we finish all this relationship together. As I'm talking to you today, he is now our chief internal auditor in the state. So I said, I want you to be the chief internal auditor of the state so you can check the things that are there, and if we are doing anything wrong, tell the world we are doing something wrong. That has given him enough trust, and this man believes that I come from heaven. I was not born actually in Goody Station. Because those are the things that we try to do, to some of these things, to tell them. And we also learn from our mistakes. There is no leader that will not make a mistake. Every leader will make a mistake, but we must take forward to say, yes, we have made so and so mistakes, and we are willing to correct them and to go from there. And we must manage diversity. Because if you are talking about diversity, come to Nasarawa State. You know, the people in this village don't understand the language of the other people in the other village, don't understand the language of the other. But that is what God has asked you to be the leader, and they are all your people, and you must manage them. And you must defend what you believe in. Recently, I got a little bit in trouble with some people who didn't understand what we are doing with the tax reform bill. When the tax reform bill went to the House of the National Assembly, some of us didn't know it went. But then we saw certain things in the bill. Remember, I'm a governor under APC. I was one of the governors that believed that after President Buhari, this rotation must go to the southern part of the country. And we fought very hard to ensure that it did. Therefore, I can't be among the governors that are criticizing this government. But you know, sometimes people misunderstand speaking your mind and criticism. I didn't understand and I didn't like some of the things that were there in the tax reform bill. For instance, I didn't like the idea of increasing the VAT from 7.5 to 10 and to 15 immediately. Because I work for companies that actually generate VAT and remit them to FIRS. So I understand the impact of VAT, especially at a time that inflation was at 30-something. So it was a wrong move. And so we try, to see how we could get in touch with the people. And we got in touch, and I objected openly. But not because I was against the president, not because I was against the tax reform. I was against some elements and aspects of the tax reform. And that's the reason why we said that. But we were so lucky. We have a very understanding president also, who believes in accepting criticism the way they are. And I remember when we rose the matter, the president invited us, and he said, you talk. And then the people told me, okay, Governor Nasarawa, you speak on our behalf. So, and I say, Mr. President, we love you. We thank you for all the good things you are doing. Our tax laws are actually outdated. We need new tax laws. And you have done the right thing by introducing tax laws. But there are certain things in this reform, Mr. President, that are actually choking. One is the increase in VAT. Two is the sharing of that. The sharing is going to choke a small place like Nasarawa to death. And I say, I had to speak about it. Not because we are against the tax reform, but I swore that I will defend the people of Nasarawa State. And the only thing I could do was to do that. Needless to say, a lot of activities started going on in the country. Mr. President said, Nasarawa, you people go and take a look at it, make your amendments, but we must pass the bills. I say, I agree with that. We have gone, we have checked. The House of Reps has just finished passing it, and they passed them the way we corrected them and the way that we inserted them. And all the things that we said that we are not properly done, the House of Reps has passed in that manner. And today, we thank Mr. President for accepting to make the changes. We thank the House of Reps for listening to us in that area. And Nigerians will one day say to us, thank you, because by doing that, the bill had already passed first and second reading when we started this fight. Up till now, it has not been passed to law yet. If we had not had that, today it will have been there, and today Nigerians will have been paying new VAT. Today the sharing formula will have been different. Today Nasarawa State will have been getting less money and the rest of that. So, and it's the same with so many other states. I don't want to take you a time to tell you about VAT, but I understand VAT because we are the ones who actually generate VAT from some of the companies. The biggest companies paying VAT today in the country are the banks, the telecommunication companies, the cement companies, the sugar companies, and those companies are companies that I work, not just work as a CEO. So I understand, that argument. And I thank Mr. President actually for accepting that, and needless to say, we have done that. Continuity leadership is extremely important because when you become a leader, you are actually inheriting assets and liabilities. The mistake a lot of us do is to think that you are only taking the assets, you don't want the liabilities. You want the comfort, you don't want the discomfort. I remember when we arrived in Nasarawa State for the first time, and some young people started insulting us and on the news, on the social media and the rest of that. And my wife didn't like it. I said, Madam, you want to answer First Lady, right? Yeah. When they call you First Lady at an event, sometimes I even see the way you change your move. I see your movement changes. So you like it? He said, yes, I like that. So that is the asset. Now the insult and the abuse, those are the liabilities. So you must accept both of them. When you decide that you are going to answer the big title of governor's wife or first lady, you must also get ready that they will start abusing you. They are only abusing me now. They have not started your own, but they will start your own also. And you must get ready to that. So, but that's the mistakes a lot of people do. They just accept the benefits. They don't want the liabilities. But you have to take both of them. You know, that's the only thing that makes you actually a leader. And you must look at the various projects, which is the reason why on arrival in Nasarawa State, nearly every, in fact now, 90% of the inherited, uncompleted projects, we have completed them. And that is the reason why we went in that direction. We also had a lot of inherited debts and liabilities, which we had to take care of, and we took care of them in that manner. So we continue with our areas of focus, and the areas of focus actually remain what I have told you. I will conclude by telling you about the two major economic summits that we had. We had our first economic summit in the year 2022, and we termed that economic summit Diamonds in the Rough. The reason was because we said Nasarawa State was a place that was actually unknown. People didn't know the opportunities. They didn't know the prospects. They didn't know what we had. So we invited them. We saw in the current president of Ghana, Mahatma Gandhi, John Mahatma, we saw in him the ability to come and talk to us on that. We didn't know he was going to become president. We invited him. So he was the special guest of honor at the event. The guest speaker was the VP, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. They came in. And at the time, all the major investors actually in this country came in. You know, starting with the Alhaji Aliko Dangote, John Komantaros, they all came with the oil companies. The GMD of NNPC, the CEOs of all the other ones, they were all there. And it was a very big event. And by the time we finished the event, we had actually got into some cooperation with the various investors, both in pledges and in reality of investment, about $500 million in Nasarawa State. We felt so comfortable that in 2024, 2 years later, we had another one. And we gave it the term, actually, industrial renaissance. At the time now, we were trying to ensure that most of those MOUs become reality. And that's why we invited Amina Mohammed, the Deputy UN Secretary General, as our guest speaker. And of course, she gave us the opportunity to be part of the event. And we had the CEOs of various other companies that came, including the NNPC, Saro Africa, Greenville LNG, the Lee Group, Flour Mills of Nigeria, so many diplomats. But that's where we now got a lot of other mining companies, especially from China, that came in looking for lithium. And we came up with the law, actually, on arrival, that since mining and agriculture were two areas that we wanted to look into, after concentrating on our security, we now said we wanted a situation, you know, where we had not only the MOUs signed, but any company doing mining in Nasarawa State must also do the processing in Nasarawa State. So we came up with the executive order, and that executive order gave birth to so many of these companies that you are seeing in Nasarawa State today. Today, Nasarawa State has the biggest lithium processing company, which was commissioned by Mr. President. Today, Nasarawa State will have a bigger one, which will be commissioned in the next 2 months. This one is 3 million metric tons. That one is going to be 6 million metric tons, also in the same area. We had the Tantalite Processing Company, also already in progress. We also have, in the same Nasarawa state, the tin processing company that we also commissioned recently by the Minister, Dele Alake, through his DG of Cadastral Office, that they did that. And we had so many of these companies. And we say for us as a state, we have so many of these agri companies. Nasarawa state is the home to Olam rice. Most of the Mama Cass rice that you find actually coming out of Nasarawa state. And then we have the Dangote sugar, which is actually occupying 68,000 hectares of land. With the 68,000 hectares of land that you have, in the state, they will be able to produce about one third of the entire sugar consumption in Nigeria. And with that, we also had, so many other companies like Flour Mills of Nigeria that are going to be doing, apart from sugar, are also looking at doing their cassava, for their flour. And these are some of the companies we have. But we said, we as a government must also participate. And that's how we ended up acquiring, 10,000 hectares of land. We cultivated 2,000. We produced the rice, which actually was commissioned by Mr. Vice President when he came during our harvest. And we took that part of the rice, we sold almost 80% of the rice actually to Olam, as in form of paddy. The remaining we kept for our own replanting because we are expanding from 2,000 to 5,000 hectares of land for the cultivation. And then every local government, we are giving them also part of the paddy as seedlings so that they can go and be part of it. These are some of the things that we have to do, to show the type of leadership that we are provided. I forgot to mention one thing about our second economic summit. The second economic summit became so successful that Nasarawa state government did not spend 1 naira. All the expenses incurred were funded 100% by most of those investors that came and said that we believe in Nasarawa state and we will fund all your activities as far as this summit is concerned. So as a matter of fact, after incurring that, we even made some savings, that had gone to address the first summit that we had. So this is the definition of our own leadership, through a person who came into politics by accident. We are looking at the opportunities, as far as they are concerned in the area of housing, and that's why, in fact, you have the housing minister here. Because of our proximity to the federal capital, we have looked and done a lot in the area of housing. And the federal government, thank you very much, Honorable Minister, is also assisting with that because nearly 30 to 40% of the lower income workers of the federal government here at the federal capital actually live in Nasarawa state. And that is the reason why the road is so busy, in the evenings. So I thank you for listening to me. I thank you for this invitation. I pray that we'll continue to have the opportunity again. And congratulations.
I think he deserves another round of applause. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi Sule. This is a man who understands the dynamics and power of change. They say change is a constant thing in life, but it's how we individuals embrace that change. And he has told us a passionate story of how he embraced the changes that life offered him, demonstrating the essence of what a good leader entails by being resilient, passionate about what he does for his people, and of course, showing that doggedness that change can happen even in these times. Please, let's appreciate His Excellency once again. And while His Excellency was giving his lecture, the representative of the Executive Governor of Katsina State, His Excellency Diko Umar Rada, is here ably represented by Hajia Aisha Nancy Yahaya, you're welcome. Please, a round of applause for His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Katsina State. At this juncture, I'd like to call on my senior colleague to lead us to the next point of this event.
Thank you, Ruth. I want to be a politician by accident. And only the governor can let me do that. I'll come to learn. Chinua Achebe, the thing, something wrong with Nigeria. I don't know how he couched it. And I know he looked at everything, things going wrong, and in the midst of plenty, I said, we are no longer at peace because things have fallen apart. We need arrow of God. And people didn't listen to him. And he said that was the problem with Nigeria, and he never came back. It's my pleasure, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to let you know that the Chief of Defense Staff is here and is ably represented by Rear Admiral. And I tell you sincerely, Rear Admiral is a top notch when it comes to the ranking in the Navy. Sir, deliver the message in just 2 minutes before His Excellency goes out, because he has something else to do. Thank you very much. Look at the way he's running. Nigeria should be running now.
Please, sir, Nigeria should not run. Nigeria should be calm. Thank you very much, sir. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor, sir, permit me to align with all existing protocols. I'm here to represent the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwabi Musa. He was actually preparing to be here because those who know my CDS is always wants to be part of anything that will be part of nation building, and disseminating the correct information is part of nation building. I will just quickly read his speech. But before I read his speech, sir, Your Excellency, sir, you said you've never been a teacher. I was just trying to listen to your, sir, a lot of leadership thoughts you brought into it, and I want to salute your courage to be able to speak truth in leadership. Thank you very much, sir. So I'll just quickly run through the address of the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwabi Musa. It is with great honor and a deep sense of responsibility that I stand before you today at this auspicious occasion, which marks the 13th annual Verbatim lecture. It is also gratifying to be with this distinguished gathering to participate in this intellectual discourse on the topic, Nigeria, the changing times and challenges of leadership. Let me express my profound gratitude to the organizers, that is the editorial team of the Verbatim magazine, for this timely and insightful initiative. I also respectfully commend His Excellency once again, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule, for accepting to deliver this important lecture, which addresses the evolving landscape of governance and leadership in Nigeria. Leadership has always been at the heart of national progress as our dear nation navigates through changing times, which are marked by socio-political shifts, economic uncertainties, security concerns, and the expectations of a rapidly growing population. The role of effective, accountable, and visionary leadership cannot be overemphasized. The challenges of leadership in Nigeria today are complex, requiring those in positions of authority to demonstrate resilience, adaptability, and an unwavering commitment to the ideals of good governance, national security, and economic transformation. I must say the governor has shown the way. I'm not a politician, but I need to point it out that he has been sincere in this lecture. I want to thank him for that. As leaders, we must embrace innovative approaches, leverage technology, and uphold the principles of transparency and accountability to inspire confidence among the peoples we serve. A critical aspect of leadership in changing times is ensuring national security. Security is the bedrock of stability, development, and economic growth. The Nigerian Armed Forces have remained steadfast in tackling the multifaceted security challenges confronting our nation, which range from insurgency and banditry to secessionist agitations and cybersecurity threats. We have made significant strides in safeguarding lives and property, yet we acknowledge that there is still work to be done. Effective leadership in the security sector demands synergy among all stakeholders, strategic policymaking, intelligence-driven operations, and continuous capacity building. As the Chief of Defense Staff, I remain committed to fostering interagency cooperation and engaging with relevant actors to ensure peace and stability across the country. Leadership in our country today must be anchored on integrity, honesty, transparency, and accountability. These values are not just ideals, but fundamental principles that shape the credibility and trustworthiness of leadership. Corruption, mismanagement, and lack of accountability have historically hindered national progress, and it is incumbent upon us as leaders to change this narrative. I'm deeply humbled to be considered for the Distinguished Patriot Award in recognition of my unwavering commitment to these principles. Let me state unequivocally that this honor is not just a personal achievement to the CDS, but a call to do more. It serves as a motivation for all leaders, irrespective of their sectors, to embrace ethical leadership and put the nation first in all its endeavors. As we engage in today's discourse, let us reflect on the essence of leadership in these changing times. It is not enough to occupy a position of authority. Rather, we must see leadership as a call to service, a duty to our people, and an opportunity to create meaningful and lasting change. I look forward to the insights that will emerge from today's lecture and the collective wisdom that will shape our path towards a more secure, prosperous, and united Nigeria. Once again, I thank the Verbatim magazine for this platform, and once again particularly congratulate His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, for his invaluable contributions to national development. To all distinguished guests, I appreciate you for the commitment in contributing meaningfully to this important discourse. Thank you all, sir, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rear Admiral Bankole OA. He is in charge of a relationship between the civilians and the military. Welcome, sir. Well, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we may have to go to part of the kitchen and only the women. We're not going to eat. We're just going to the dining table and we're back here. So I call the lady, Ruth, to get into the root of the matter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chima. All right, Your Excellency, at this point, we would like to cut the anniversary cake. It's 13 years and counting. So please, let's put our hands together for Verbatim magazine. They've done a lot. And to do us the honors, please, let's have the cake in the middle here. Please, the cameraman, we would like you to please create room because we'd like to do the cutting of the cake here in the middle. Thank you. So to those the honors, we'd like to welcome His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Nasarawa State, Engineer Abdullahi Sule, and joining him, we'd also like to welcome the representative of Katsina State Governor, and also the representative of Edo State Governor, and let's have the chairman of the board, Board of Editors, Dr. Ibrahim Modibo, and not leaving out our chairman of the occasion, Professor Ibrahim Dentani Wushishi, Let's also have the Vice Chancellor of Nasarawa State University, Professor Saadatu Hassan Liman, and also the Chief of Defense Staff. And let's not forget Dr. Uzo. Please, let's have that cake. Let's not forget the representative of the Minister of Arts, Culture and Tourism. Please come forward. Thank you. Okay, so because it's 13 for Verbatim, why don't we spell Verbatim all together? So V, E, R, B, A, T, I, M. Happy 13th anniversary to Verbatim magazine. Congratulations to Verbatim magazine. Thank you so much, Your Excellencies. You may please go back to your seat. And Your Excellencies, at this point, of course, is the moment to reward excellence for good leadership, excellence for dedication to service. Talking about the award for tonight, where distinguished personalities will be recognized for their services in every strata where they have found themselves. And to begin the award, I'd like to call on my senior colleague, Mr. Chima. We'll have time for the exchange of pleasantries, Your Excellencies. All right. We have the Chairman, Board of Trustees here of the editors, and also we have the Editor-in-Chief by my side.
You know, this is a time Nigerians are respecting women more than ever before. With the permission of my chairman, the chairman of today's occasion, and His Excellency the Governor, we will want to start by recognizing women in this dispensation. And it will be good, who do we call up? His Excellency or the chairman to hand over? The chairman, we'll be glad if you come up here. You're the one. A woman?
Yes, as a woman.
You see, yeah? Is a woman here?
Representative.
Yes. Yes. You have the mic, the voice, the better voice. Let us first start with the Vice Chancellor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Dr. Tubbs. Thank you so much for that. All right. Thank you, Chairman of today's event. And for the first award, the recipient of award tonight, we would like to welcome and congratulate the Vice Chancellor of Nasarawa State University, Professor Saadatu Liman. Please, a round of applause for her. Within a short time, of her appointment at VC Nasarawa State University, she has contributed immensely to seeing that the state university come alive by bringing changes, embracing that change we're talking about today. And this is one woman who has demonstrated that doggedness and resilience that, yes, she can. Please, a round of applause for her. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. This is Verbatim 13th Anniversary an award for Outstanding Public Service 2024, presented to Professor Saadatu Hassan Liman, Vice Chancellor, Nasarawa State University, Kefi. Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right, next recipient, we would like to call on Honorable Minister of Arts, Culture and Tourism and Creative Economy, Barrister Annatu Musa Musawa. She's taken the award for Honorable Minister of the Year 2024. Please, a round of applause for her. Her representative is here. Please, a round of applause for her. Hadiza Ali. His Excellency has given us the permission to recognize the women first, and that shows that he is gender friendly.
This is Verbatim Awards 2024, presented to Barrister Hannatu Musa Musawa, Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economy. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
The Verbatim 2024 Patriots Awards goes to the Director General NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, ably represented here by one of the directors. Ably represented by Dr. Augustine Ubuli, the Director of Human Resources, NAFDAC.
Thank you so much. This is Verbatim Award for Outstanding Public Service 2024, presented to Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, DG NAFDAC. Congratulations.
Congratulations to the DG NAFDAC. And Your Excellency, because we have a woman representing His Excellency, the Governor of Katsina State, we would like to welcome for the Outstanding Governor of the Year, Strategic Management of Security and Service Delivery in Katsina State, that is going to Malam Diko Umururada. And here he is represented by Aisha Nancy. Please, a round of applause for His Excellency.
Verbatim Award 2024 Distinguished Patriots Awards goes to the man whose music is sung everywhere in the world and has translated it in 3,600 languages. Dr. Jude Nam.
Sorry, this award is already here. This is a Verbatim Award for Outstanding Governor of the Year, Strategic Management of Security in Katsina State 2024, presented to His Excellency Malam Diko Radda, Executive Governor of Katsina State, Nigeria. Congratulations.
Congratulations to Katsina State Governor. And let's have Mr. Jude Inam for his award. Please, a round of applause for him. That's an award going for gospel music icon of the year by Verbatim magazine. Please, a round of applause for him. Dr. Jude Inam.
This is Verbatim Award for Distinguished Patriot 2024, presented to Architect Ahmed Musa Engiwa, Minister of Housing and Urban Development. Congratulations, sir. Okay, okay, he's coming. He's coming.
Congratulations to the Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Musa Dengiwa, for the Distinguished Patriot Awards. Next, we would like to call on the award for excellence and quality leadership, benchmark or in legislative performance, Honorable Professor Paul Enamchi, the representative. Okay, we still have Jude Inam yet to receive his award.
Sorry for the mix-up. This is Verbatim Gospel Artist of the Year Award 2024, presented to Dr. Jude Inam. Congratulations, sir.
Let Prof do this last one. This is your friend. Okay. The defense.
We'll call on the next award for the Professor Paul. That's the Member House of Reps. Much later, we'll have to skip to another award. Mr. Chima.
Thank you very much. The most outstanding Chief of Defense Staff of Nigeria in the management of security in Nigeria, General Christopher Gwabin Musa, ably represented by Rear Admiral Bankole, the Chief of Defense Staff, being represented by the Director, Civil and Military Relations.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted presenting this award to my senior colleague, a senior officer, in person of the Chief of Defense Staff, ably represented by Rear Admiral Bankole. This is Verbatim Award for Most Outstanding Chief of Defense Staff in Security Management in Nigeria 2024, presented to General Christopher Gwabin Musa, Chief of Defense Staff. Congratulations, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, congratulations to the Chief of Defense Staff, to the Chief of Defense, rather. All right, I'll now call again the Award for Excellence and Quality Leadership, Benchmark in Legislative Performance, Honorable Professor Paul Enamchi. He is the representative of Enugu East Isiuzu Federal Constituency for the 10th National Assembly.
Thank you so much. This is Verbatim Award for Excellence and Quality Leadership, Benchmark in Legislative Performance 2024, presented to Honorable Professor Paul S. Inamchi, member representing Enugu East Isi Uzo Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, the chairman of the occasion, Professor Wushishi. We now invite Dr. Obi Nauzo to please come and present the awards. And the next guest is...
For the Beacon of Light for Democracy Class of Best Performing Legislators in Nigeria Award, it goes to distinguished Senator Joel Omuwakpo Thomas, representative of Delta South Senatorial District here for the 10th Senate. Please, a round of applause for him. We want to thank our chairman for doing us the honors and welcome Dr. Uzo to continue with that.
Beacon of, congratulations on the Beacon of Light for Democracy Class of Best Performing Legislators in Nigeria Awards. Congratulations. Yes.
Rear Admiral, sir, please could you join Dr. Obinna in presenting this award? And my honorable minister, sir, yes, this has to be a three-barrel presentation to the man of the moment, the man whose integrity is unwavering, the man who has the credentials, not only as a governor, but even going higher to be the president someday. This is it's therefore our pleasure to invite the Award of Excellence from Verbatim magazine, the Governor of the Year for Good Governance, Integrity in Public Service Award for 2024, and the winner is His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Sule, Executive Governor of Nasarawa State. And this is a special request from the presenters of the award that even the Emirate of Nasarawa is here, the commissioners are here, all the people that matter in governance and decision makers in Nasarawa State are here, and that is the reason the Verbatim is saying it verbatim, that the Governor of the Year for Good Governance, Integrity in Public Service goes to His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Sule, Executive Governor of Nasarawa State. Your Excellency, sir, we may not allow you to go until you present this to the chairman. Well, the chairman of the day, Icon Change Agent of the Year Award goes to the Registrar, Chief Executive, National Examinations Council, NECO, Professor Danatani Ibrahim Wushishi.
Read it again. Let us hear what you said.
All right, that's the iconic Change Agent of the Year award for Professor Dantani Ibrahim Wushishi, the Registrar and CEO of the National Examination Council. Please, a round of applause and congratulations, sir. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for doing us the honors. And would like to recognize another governor who is also contributing and making changes within a short time for the icon.
Welcome back from the live telecast. We'll now continue with our regular programs. Stay tuned.